Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order our regular City Council meeting for March 4th, 2025. Please join me as we rise and say our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, can you do the roll call, please?
Councilmember Brando Cruz.
Here.
Councilmember Melissa Lamatina.
Here.
Councilmember David Oro.
Here.
Vice Mayor Mark Joseph.
Here.
Mayor Pierre Washington.
Here. Mr. Ross, can you report on closed session confirmation and reportable action, please?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the public, the council convened in open session at 4:05 p.m. and after ascertaining there were no public comments on the items agendized for closed session, adjourned to closed session at 4:05. You concluded the closed session at 6:27 p.m. I will prepare a written report upon return from closed session consistent with the provisions of Government Code Section 64957.1b. That would conclude the report unless there are questions.
Seeing no questions, we'll close that and move on to our proclamation and presentations. Mr. Holly, I don't have the actual. Oh, they were in the box. Oh my God! Yeah, I will. I will. I forget I have a box, so. The first proclamation will actually be Women's History Month, and do we have a recipient for the Women's History Month? We have Devet, Mohammed, and who else? We got a lot of, come on. Got some Seroptimus people. Sorry. Okay. So the first one, proclamation, City of American Canyon Women's History Month, March of 2025. Whereas since 1987, the United States has formally recognized March as Women's History Month, setting aside March to inspire those globally to learn about women's history, and to whereas Women's History Month celebrates the collective powers of women and girls, pays tribute to their achievements that recognizes the remaining challenges for the future, further for women's rights and gender equality, encouraging and mobilizing all people to contribute to positive change, and whereas the City of American Canyon honors the accomplishments and visionary women and girls who have helped build our country, including those who have contributions have not been adequately recognized and celebrated. And whereas the City of American Canyon pays tribute to the trailblazers from the recent and distant past for daring to envision a future to which no past precedent existed, and for building a nation of endless possibilities for all its women and girls. And whereas currently women are serving locally in leadership positions, inspiring and continue to work in advancing the rights of and opportunities and full participation of women and girls of all backgrounds. And whereas women in American Canyon have continued to transform and enhance our community in a wide range of fields, including through elected and appointed public office, city and county government, local businesses, agricultural, military services, education, medicine, and arts, community service, and nonprofit organizations. And whereas American Canyon residents are encouraged to celebrate Women's History Month and to educate and pass on learned wisdom regarding the extraordinary contribution women have made within our community and country, and recognize that continued progress is still needed to reach equality. And now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Pierre Washington, Mayor of American Canyon, on behalf of the American Canyon City Council, do hereby proclaim March 8th, 2025 as National Women's Day, and proclaim the month of March 2025 as Women's History Month, and urge all citizens to join in this observance by celebrating and honoring the achievements, contributions, and legacy of women throughout history. There you go.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and members of the community. My name is Devet Mohammed. It is an honor and privilege to accept this proclamation on behalf of Soroptimist International of American Canyon in recognition of Women's History Month. This month is time to celebrate the achievements, resilience, and contributions of women throughout history. Women who have paved the way for progress and continue to inspire future generations. Soroptimist International embodies that same spirit of empowerment. As a global organization, Soroptimist is dedicated to uplifting women and girls through education, mentorship, and resources, ensuring they have the opportunities to achieve their dreams and build brighter futures. Here in American Canyon, our chapter proudly carries out that mission. I am incredibly proud to volunteer alongside this amazing group of women who are not only making a difference in our community, but making a difference and contributing to the worldwide movement for gender equity and empowerment. Women's History Month reminds us that when we invest in women, we uplift families, strengthen communities, and create a better world for all. Thank you for this recognition, and I encourage everyone to participate and continue supporting us in this important movement. Thank you.
Hi. And amongst those standing is our elected supervisor, Ramos. Would you like to say a few words? I'm putting you on the spot.
Thank you, Mayor. Here as part of Soroptimist, a chapter founded in 2018. And to that mission, I will say that Soroptimist does, in fact, invest in women. I actually received a Soroptimist scholarship back in 1996 when I graduated high school, and I would say that the investment paid off very well as I only traveled from St. Helena down to American Canyon. It is an honor to be here as your supervisor, and I will just say what a momentous march for us to celebrate Women's History Month, especially with your Napa County Board of Supervisors, who is the second all-female board in the state and the first in Napa County. And so just to encourage all of you to look at the work that Soroptimist does at various levels within the community and at a greater scale. They are great partners to the city. They are great partners to our nonprofits. They are great partners at the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I believe we'll take a picture with all the strong women of our community. Thank you. The second proclamation will be for the Red Cross Month of 2025. And do we have recipients for the Red Cross? Good evening. The Red Cross Month for 2025, City of American Canyon Proclamation. Whereas this March, we celebrate American Red Cross Month by recognizing the compassionate acts of people in American Canyon and by reviewing or renewing the commitment to lead or lend a helping hand to our neighbors in need. And whereas, since Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross almost 150 years ago, generations after generations have stepped up to deliver relief and care across our country and around the world. And whereas the volunteers, blood and pallet donors, and financial supporters who now give back through the Sonoma-Napa Disaster Response Area of American Canyon, or American Red Cross, remain unwavering in their commitment to prevent and elevate human suffering in a face of today's emergencies. And whereas these voluntary and generous contributions shine a beacon of hope in people's darkest hours, whether it's delivering shelter, food, and or comfort during disasters, providing critical blood donations for hospitals, patients, supporting service members, veterans, and their families, saving lives with first aid, CPR, and AEDs and other skills, or delivering international aid and reconnecting loved ones separated by global crisis. And whereas this work to uplift our community is truly made possible by those who selfishly answer the call to help whenever and wherever it is needed. And whereas, therefore, I, Mayor Pierre Washington, on behalf of American Canyon City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2025 as Red Cross Month. I encourage all citizens in American Canyon to reach out and support its humanitarian mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Washington, our city council, and our community. My name is Pam Chappelle. I'm with the Sonoma-Napa chapter of the American Red Cross, and I am the disaster action team coordinator here in Napa County. As you know, it's been kind of a busy year like it usually is, but luckily it has been a little away from us, mostly down south. Every 8 seconds, there is a call for the Red Cross, whether it's a tornado, a fire, a flood, or just people having a hard time, because we do assist with mental health also. In just the Upper Bay area, which includes Silicon Valley through Northern California, we've assisted over 1,700 families in the last year and installed over 5,000 smoke alarms in the Northern California. Just in Napa and Sonoma, we've assisted 77 families who have been affected one way or another, and just in Napa County alone, 9 families have been assisted or helped. I personally have taken 2 calls here in American Canyon. So anytime we are looking for volunteers, over 90% of our people in the Red Cross are volunteers to help keep the donor dollar where it needs to go back to the families and the people affected. We also have our wonderful Red Cross Club at the high school. This is Yesha. She's going to tell you what they've got going on. Very proud of them.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So my name is Yesha Sakatani. I'm currently the senior at American Canyon High School, and it's an honor to be here again to accept the proclamation for Red Cross Month. I was with Pam this time around last year, and I'd like to thank Mayor Washington and the City Council and everyone here tonight. It's been an honor to be serving the Red Cross ever since I was a freshman in high school. I served as the public relations officer last year and now serve as the president. And I've had the honor of being able to collaborate with the Kareri Red Cross Club in Kenya. We're also offering them support there, helping them push for women's education and involvement, while also helping them push for Red Cross initiatives there. So it doesn't only show the impact of the Red Cross mission in our community, but also in other countries. And I've also been able to administer the Totes of Hope initiative at our club at American Canyon, and members and officers help donate necessities to distribute to homeless veterans, and Pam actually helped us distribute those necessities just in December. So that's definitely something we want to continue as well. And we currently have over 90 club members as of now this year at American Canyon. We hope to grow in the next years, but we currently also serve volunteer opportunities and leadership opportunities within Red Cross for Youth. So one of those volunteer opportunities that people actually helped with was the Sound the Alarm event. I actually have my shirt from the event, and it was in Napa where people helped install smoke alarms, as Pam mentioned, and also educate people on home fire and earthquake preparedness. So stuff like that just shows the impact of the Red Cross. There's also been a national blood shortage, so our club is collaborating with Friday Night Live to host a blood drive in American Canyon on March 22nd in partnership with the Stanford Blood Center. And we've actually maxed out the amount of volunteers, but you guys can also come and donate blood. That will also be really impactful. But this just goes to show that I think it's really crucial to continue to work by the Red Cross mission, as it won't only help us become a better prepared city for disasters and emergencies in our community, but also encourage and inspire others to continue giving without accepting or expecting anything back. Thank you.
Also, we're doing a Sound the Alarm event here in American Canyon on March 29th at the Olympia Mobile Home Park. We're always looking for volunteers to help us install those alarms if anybody wants to join us. I'm sure you can figure out how to get a hold of me. I got a couple volunteers already raising hands over there. It's pretty easy, but it definitely saves lives. Like she was saying, we educate, not only do we install the smoke alarms, but we educate folks, make sure they know a safe way to get out of their homes, make sure they have a go bag. Everybody should have a go bag, whether it's a wildfire or just a home fire. It's good to be prepared and have stuff put aside to get out of your house quickly. So, thank you.
Thank you for your contribution to the community. Thank you. And our third proclamation is acknowledging the Muslim holiday of Ramadan. It looks like Miriam will be accepting it with her beautiful daughter. Mhm. City of American Canyon proclamation acknowledging the Muslim holiday of Ramadan. Whereas Islam is one of the world's major religion and part of our shared human heritage. And whereas California Muslims community is one of the most diverse in the nation, with ethnic and cultural background that span the globe. And whereas Muslims have a long history in the United States spanning back to the slave trade, in which 10 to 15% of the enslaved African women and men were said to be Muslim. And whereas Muslims have long served in the nation's armed forces and fought in all major United States wars, from the American Revolution War to the modern conflicts today, with some Muslim Americans making the ultimate sacrifice in combat. And whereas Muslims have contributed to social movement throughout the history of the United States to work towards justice and fair inclusion for all. And whereas, from early days of the pioneers to the present day leaders, Muslim Americans have played a significant role in the history of the state's economic, cultural, and spiritual and political development. And whereas there are approximately 1 million Muslim Americans across this state contributing to the economic, social fabric, and multicultural and pluralistic traditions. And whereas the Muslim residents of this state, with their hard work and contributions to medicine, science, information technology, education, police, military, and many other fields, have benefited from the enriched the state's tolerance and economically vibrant environment. And whereas Ramadan is the holy month of fasting and a time to reflect spiritually, build community, and aid those in need, and mark as annual spiritual renewal for each individual. A reason to celebrate and express gratitude in this month, and whereas the observance of Muslim holy month of Ramadan commenced at dusk March 1st, 2025, and continues for one lunar month from sunrise to sunset each day. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in observance of the out of respect for commencement of Ramadan, the American Canyon City Council acknowledges the onset Ramadan and expresses its deepest respect to Muslims across California and throughout the world on this significant occasion. Dated today, March 4th, 2025.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, esteemed members of the City Council, and distinguished guests, it's a privilege to stand before you today on the other side of the dais and accept this proclamation on behalf of the American Canyon Muslim community. She's saying that she wants something yummy. I want to sincerely thank the city for recognizing the sacred month of Ramadan and for fostering an environment where all communities feel seen, valued, and included. Today is the 4th day of Ramadan, and sunset was at 6:06, I believe, which is why Farah and I is all you get this evening. I apologize that we didn't have a larger crowd, but I didn't want to impose on people's dinner time and prayers. But I speak for the entire Muslim community when I say that we truly appreciate it. Ramadan is a time of deep spiritual reflection, self-discipline, and renewal. Muslims around the world fast from dawn to sunset, like Mayor Washington mentioned, not just by refraining from food and drink, even water, but by striving to purify our hearts, deepen our compassion for others, and strengthen our spiritual connections. Fasting in Ramadan serves many purposes. It teaches us patience and gratitude, reminding us of the blessings we often take for granted. It also cultivates empathy as we experience, even if just for a few hours a day, the struggles of those who face hunger and hardship regularly. This heightened awareness inspires acts of charity, kindness, and service to our communities, which are fundamental values in Islam. But Ramadan is more than just an individual spiritual journey. You guys, I haven't done this in a long time. I'm like getting winded. It's a time of togetherness, right? Families, friends, and neighbors gather for meals at sunset. We've seen former Mayor Garcia at several of these gatherings. Communities come together in a shared spirit of generosity and unity. In this way, Ramadan reflects the very values that make our city strong: diversity, mutual respect, and care for one another. At a time when conversations around diversity, equity, and inclusion have become more politically charged, this proclamation is a reminder that recognition and respect for different cultures and faiths are not just political talking points. They are fundamental to the fabric of a just and thriving society. True inclusivity is not about division. It's about making space for all of us to practice our beliefs, celebrate our traditions, and contribute to the collective good. So I thank the city for not just acknowledging Ramadan, but for affirming the importance of unity in diversity. May this spirit of understanding continue beyond this month as we work together to build a community where everyone, regardless of faith, background, or identity feels a true sense of belonging. Thank you. Well, good to see you guys. Thank you.
Now we'll be moving to open public comment at this time for any items that are not on tonight's agenda. You'll have 3 minutes to have your comment, and we'll start with any cards that we have, Madam Clerk.
Yes. Before we get to the cards, I just want to note that we did receive 2 e-comments prior to the meeting. You all received them through iLegislate, but I also printed them. They're available for the public over on the counter, and you have a copy at your dais.
Thank you.
First up, I'm going to call Suhani Gur.
Hello? Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Sohani Gair, and I'm honored to be the first Miss Vallejo Tri-Cities teen. My community service initiative is called Feed the Need, which is focused on supporting the unhoused by providing shelter, resource, and comfort. One question I often get asked is, why should we care about homelessness? And to that, I say, the reality is nearly 66% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, meaning many of us are just one missed paycheck away from experiencing homelessness ourselves. I encourage you to think about your friend, your family, and your loved ones. How would you feel if they found themselves without a home? How would you treat them? Sorry. The truth is, those who are facing homelessness look just like us. They are someone's family, someone's friend, and someone's loved one. If we all are chose to treat others with kindness, dignity, and compassion, even the smallest acts could create a significant impact in someone else's life. A little kindness can go a long way. Let's feed the need together. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Gilbraith.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm David Gilbreth. I am the co-manager of the Green Island Property, an LLC that owns approximately 157 acres just outside the city limits, but adjacent completely on its eastern border and mainly on the northern border. And on the west is the river, and on the south is a saltwater overflow. I'm here to request that you agendize an opportunity for myself on behalf of the owners of that property for your next public meeting, which I understand is 2 weeks from today. And the purpose of that would be to discuss with you our request for support from this city to an application that we as landowners would make before Napa LAFCO. I am happy to consume more time here. I see it's at 2 minutes. I know that I have 3. I can answer any of your questions, but probably the best way to do this is be before you, I hope, in 2 weeks, and I will be absolutely prepared to tell you why it's in the best interest of the city, which I firmly believe is the case. I'm down to 20 seconds, and I want to acknowledge that I went to the Sir Optimus party Saturday, and I see many of you here that I saw there, and I commend them for the service that they make. But in addition to that, I have to tell you that was a very fun party. Really, really a great party with a lot of good people, and Scott was there singing away, and it looks like he's going to be singing away at our house soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbreth.
Not to diminish the Seroptimus, but it was the Kiwanis crab feed.
Ready? Rob Hall.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor, city staff, and community members. I'm here representing American Canyon Little League. I also want to recognize other Little League board members in attendance. These people put in countless hours of their own time to help the youth of our community every single day, so appreciate their time as well. Really here to cover 3 different points. The first one is very positive. I want to express my appreciation for Mr. Jason Hawley. We had a difficult communication a couple weeks ago. Jason Hawley reached out and worked tirelessly to find a collaborative solution to that challenge. And I know receiving emails at different hours of the night and day and texts that he put in the extra effort. And I want to say as a board, as a person, I appreciate that collaborative effort. And I want to make sure that does not go unnoticed. So thank you, Jason, for that support. The second is a request that in the event that something like this happens again and there is a challenge, that the first step is take the collaborative approach and try to work through and find a solution. Unfortunately, that did not happen. There was a denial, and it created a difficult situation for our league. But again, I appreciate the work that was done and really hope to see that next time that collaborative approach is taken first and foremost. The third item is actually more of a positive side. I want to formally invite the board, the mayor, any city representatives that can make it. Our Little League opening day is March 15th, so it's a week from Saturday. I think there's already been invitations put out, but I wanted to make it a formal invitation as well. Earlier invited former Mayor Leon as well. Hopefully the current mayor will keep up the tradition of take me out to the ballpark.
Sure thing. You got it. That's a pressure.
So we do have a full morning of events scheduled. There's been a submission to the city for road closures. Our parade starts at 9. We plan to wrap everything up by 10:30, including any remarks by city council and the mayor. Look forward to it. We will have some special guests throwing out first pitches, so looking forward to that. But again, first and foremost, to wrap up, thanking Jason for his effort. Looking forward to continued collaboration. It helps us feel very appreciated as a community partner to the city, and looking forward to that more in the future. Hope to see you all out there at opening day a week from Saturday.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. And thank you,
Aaron-
Jason, for making that happen.
Aaron Placencia. I hope I.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aaron Placencia. I'm a resident of American Canyon. I'm a father. I'm also a Little League parent. And I also try to be an engaged member of our community. Rob took all my points. But I also just wanted to kind of not just keep Little League top of mind when it comes to sharing shared spaces in the city. American Canyon and Napa County got their first state championship this year in football. Most of those players were in Little League. Most of those players were in Junior Wolves. So I sincerely hope that this wheel of nonprofits that we have in the city become a strong partner when it comes to Parks and Rec and other events in the city. And just wanted to bring that up. I also want to acknowledge, I didn't realize until right before this meeting started that there's a resolution, agenda item number 23, about having a more flexible system when it comes to waiving fees for nonprofits in the city and also refunding fees to nonprofits in the city. That's something that's really big for other youth organizations like scouting and stuff like that. So I just want to acknowledge that too, that's up for a vote, I believe, and council members, new and not new, to consider that moving forward, and we really appreciate that flexibility. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Leon Garcia.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Washington, and council members. It's good to be back here. This evening, I'm a board member of the American Canyon Community and Parks Foundation. Just wanted to express to the council our appreciation for all the effort that's gone into getting the Ecology Center, the old courtyard, rebranded. The board has been very busy with volunteers, fresh coat of paint inside, got office space designated. Thank you to those who donated furniture for the board table and chairs, and we're looking forward to the future. There's great opportunity here for the community as a whole to share this. I have served for a number of years on the board of the North Bay Watershed Association. That's Marin County, Sonoma County, Napa County, and Solano County. And they're likewise interested in very much about environment and watersheds. To my knowledge, in all of the North Bay, we will have the only ecology center. And that's a great opportunity. If you think about education in this area, you got a middle school right across the street that has over 1,000 students. You don't need to get a bus permit or hire a bus driver for $500 or more. It's right across the street. There's 2 elementary schools within easy walking distance to that. So we look forward to serving the community in that capacity. In my personal life, I have also an opportunity to network with other organizations as well. I was at an event with my wife with the realtors in Vallejo, and one of the speakers was from the Solano County Land Trust. They're doing family events over at Lynch Canyon. Well, Newell Space and Lynch Canyon meet at the top of the ridge. And there's that opportunity for us to expand our gathering places. So it'll take some time for the Community and Parks Foundation to get grounded, centered in our new building. That's our main focus right now, and how to get a message out about what we have to offer, how we engage in the community. And I look forward to it. I know it's at some point down the road, it also presents an economic opportunity for the city, garnering the visitor traffic coming through American Canyon to the Valley. It's a very special place. And to that note, we have the Vine Trail is happening, a groundbreaking opening day coming up down at Vallejo at the ferry terminal. And of course, we all realize that that Vine Trail also comes through American Canyon. So thank you, appreciate your time. Good to be back here contributing from this side of the dais. Appreciate the work you did. And from the American Canyon Community Parks Foundation, thank you for the support. It really is appreciated.
Thank you, Leon Garcia, Mayor Emeritus. Thank you.
Vaughn Baginski.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Yvonne Baginski. I'm a resident of Napa County. I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about today, but I see the developers are in the audience, and I'm going to get back on my soapbox. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Habitat Conservation Plan that I brought up last year and how it's been stalled. I've been working with Napa County on it, and apparently the amount of time it takes to put a habitat conservation plan in place is very, very long. So we're looking at other options, including a local conservation plan. We've talked about the fact that there's no mitigation land in Napa County, that in order to do mitigations, they have to go over to Solano County or Yolo County. And so we thought, well, what else can we do here? And one of the things I'd like to bring to your attention is conserving land, is putting land aside for conservation. And putting aside, maybe not in enormous acreages, but in small areas. I have formed a Habitat Conservation Wildlife Coalition, and there are representatives from American Canyon on that coalition as well. And we get a lot of information, and the last few weeks have been pretty hard. We've learned there's been a 60 to 70% collapse in the bee population. There's been a significant collapse in the monarch population. The count this year was 9,900 compared to 100,000, 200,000 in 1997. The Chinook population is so devastated that they're not going to have salmon this year. They just announced that this is the worst year ever, even though they've had 2 years of no fishing. This is the third year. And so what we're seeing is a collapse. We are seeing an ecological collapse of our system. And when I see the developers, I say, you know, one of the things you can do is you can plant native plants, you can plant riparian plants, you can set aside pieces of that non-functional land and actually encourage that for foraging land, for areas where the birds can nest. You know, you're going to be putting in an ecology center, and there's no reason why you can't work to making the whole city of American Canyon an ecology center at some level. I saw a neighbor next door, someone said it would be great if that whole well, what's it called? The thing on Highway 29, if it was all pollinator plants. Can we beautify our city in a way that would attract the animals and the insects? So I just want to put that in front of all of you and say, you know, let's look at it bigger, and let's look at ecology as something that we're all capable of being a part of. And I invite all of you to join the Habitat Wildlife Conservation Coalition. And I look forward to seeing you throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Jeanette Goich.
Good evening, everyone. I'm getting over cold, so sorry. Mayor Washington and City Council members. My name is Jeanette Goyech. I'm from American Canyon. I'd like just to take a moment to talk about open space in American Canyon. Recently in the Napa Valley Register, on February 18th, there was a piece written by an American Canyon resident. I don't know the person, but her name is Ava Boloyan. She wrote a piece that was called Napa County's Untapped Open Space Potential. She used the example of the Newell open space as a positive thing that can be achieved when individuals, organizations, and governments work together. The land was once privately owned and transformed into a beloved public space thanks to the vision and generosity of the Newell family. Benefits of these spaces are very much recreational, but also will contribute to environmental stewardship and economic growth. I encourage you to read this article. She mentioned that, is it the AA's, what is the group? AA's, the group that you yeah, that they have a piece in this also with the new. But also I am part of the group that Yvonne talked about, and I can't say it any better than she could, so I don't want to spend my 3 minutes, but it is like an ad hoc committee of environmental and government nonprofit organizations and individuals who are working together to advocate for local conservation plans. And I really feel it could work, and I think if we could all work together, I think we'd all learn a little more. And Yvonne has a lot of information, like the ending of bees and butterflies, things like that. It's all important. I just wanted to mention that. That's it.
Thank you, Jeanette. And I hope you feel better.
Shanda Newmeyer.
It's a tough name. Shanda Newmeyer. Good evening, Mayor Washington and City Council members. First of all, in honor of Women's History Month, I would also like to bring to the public's attention that at the American Canyon Library on Wednesday, March 26th at 6 p.m., Rebecca Yerger is going to be doing a program on influential women of Napa Valley's past. And so I encourage everybody to come out and support the program. They're going to talk about dynamic local women who once called Napa County home and learn how they shaped the community that we know today. And I'm sure that'll be probably in Jason's thing going out, I hope, a flyer. Okay, and then my segue into American Canyon Library is the American Canyon parking lot for the library. I'm not sure who's responsible for it. I did a see-click fix, and there was some confusion as to whether it's city or county, but the arrows have been run over so many times, they've disappeared, and it's a one-way. Those of you who go to the post office are aware that it's a one-way street. And we recently had a book sale at the library, and I have pictures of cars going the wrong way and cars going the right way. And you can imagine what happens if cars are going the wrong way and the right way. So if somebody could address that issue, I don't know who would address that. I was told with the see-click fix that it might be county, might be city. They weren't sure. I know the building is city, but I don't know about the parking lot.
Yeah, I just made a note that I'll make sure I get that looked into.
So, yeah, like a little one-way sign would be good outside the library as well. And then I'm going to make a third point, going down onto Broadway to the skate park and the graffiti that's on the skate park. I understand it can't be sprayed off because of the texture of the skate park. So I suggest that perhaps maybe we have a mural competition or something and have the skate park painted with a nice mural or something. If you notice all over Vallejo, they're doing that because the gangs and the people and the kids, you know, it's high school kids too, but they don't tag murals. There's like a respect for murals that are painted. And if you drive around Vallejo, you'll notice any building that has a mural hasn't been touched. Mm-hmm. So I just bring that suggestion because we have sharks on our skate park.
Thank you for your comment, Chandra. Thank you.
Janelle Selleck.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. I'm Janelle Selleck, Executive Director of the ACCPF, or you can call us Parks Foundation. It's a little bit easier. I'm here tonight. We just want to take a moment and share our gratitude. I'm joined by our board members, Kathy, Christine, and former Mayor Garcia. It's always hard to follow him when he speaks. And we had Ed was going to come as well. We just wanted to take a moment and share our thanks for the city's shared vision and support of the Napa River Ecology Center project. In January, we were able to move in. Been spending the past few weeks getting set up and operating out of the second floor of the site. It's been really instrumental for our staff to settle in and get to know the area, especially our wild neighbors, which are a kestrel that likes to land outside my window now every day, as well as other raptors, shorebirds, sea otters. So it's a pretty phenomenal location, as you guys all know. We're working to begin to try and close the funding gap to break ground on the project. In fact, I'm excited to share that just today we were notified that we're being recommended for a $1.614 million construction grant, which needs to go as a final step to the Wildlife Conservation Board in May, but we're being recommended, so that's a big step in the right direction. So we're really excited to share that. So I just want to say thank you to our city leaders, Jason, Erica, Brent, Juan, Norm, Ali, and everyone who behind the scenes supports the project, as well as, of course, our former Mayor Garcia, our current Mayor Washington, and all of our city council members for your support in moving this project along. We're just excited to be in there. And we have some tour opportunities coming up this April, so watch for opportunities to come out in. We'd love to show you the plans for the project, as well as the kind of what the site looks like if you haven't been out there yet. Finally, I wanted to, on a whole separate note, say great job to city staff and council for the open house. The State of the City open house was so much fun. I hope you guys do it again. I had a blast. Everyone that came with me had a blast. It was really great to be able to walk through, chat with people, get some FaceTime, and just come out to City Hall. It was awesome. So great job.
Thank you, Janelle.
I have no other speaker cards and no hands raised online at this time. Oh, looks like Fran.
What a great city we live in. I tell you, all the organizations, you hear me? All the organizations, and just warms my heart to see what we have, especially the Little League, and also all the organizations, Seroptimus, the Kiwanis, everybody, wonderful people. And then I would like to see that Green Island Road project go through. It's in the sphere of our city. It should have, I believe, Manager Jay should have passed. And I hope to encourage the council to support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. If there's no more open comment or open public comment, I'll close public comment and then move to agenda changes. Are there any agenda changes? Council? Hearing no agenda changes, I'll accept the motion to accept the consent calendar as is. There are 11 items.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call, please?
Councilmember Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamatina?
Yes.
Councilmember Oro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph?
Yes.
Mayor Washington?
Yes. We'll move on to public hearing. Item number 19, the Giovanni Logistics Center tentative parcel map and design permit extension. Do we have a presenter? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Washington, members of the City Council, and members of the public. My name is William He with the Planning Division, and I'm happy to give a short recap of this project. The Giovanni Logistics Center tentative parcel map is a extension project. This project was continued from last month. The applicant the project consists of a 2.4 million square foot warehouse. This project is located at the between Devlin Road and Green Island Road. And this project was approved by the City Council in March of 2023. And the applicant's request is to have a one-year extension so that the project can, the extension can be moved from March 21st, 2025 to March 21st, 2026. That's all I have. This project is just a request for the extension.
Thank you for your quick presentation, Mr. Yee. Are there any clarified questions or concerns from council? Hearing none, I'd like to open it to open our public comment for item number 19, if there's any.
Mayor Washington, we did receive one written comment from Ernie Nodell. It is also before you on the dais and at the counter. I'm going to just see. Okay. I have no hands raised online.
And any cards?
I do have, no, I have no speaker cards for this item either.
Would you like to speak? There you go.
Good evening, Mayor Washington, Vice Mayor Joseph, Councilmember Oro, good to see you again. Councilmember Lamatina, Councilmember Cruz, nice to meet you. My name's Joe Leviach with Buzz Oats. We're the developer of the Giovannoni Logistics Center. We started this process back in 2020, and we got our project approved March of 2023. We, as most of you know, received 3 lawsuits associated with that approval. 2 of those went away, and 1 still remains. We feel like we've been a good partner in defending those actions. Our counsel, Jim Moose, is here today. If it wasn't for the lawsuits, we would be under construction with the first phase today. We feel that the actions are frivolous and have some ulterior motives, but we're being a good partner, and we're staying the course. We also recognize that you received some comment last hearing. Frankly, I'd like to set that apart from the issue tonight. We will be good partners and pay our fair share. We didn't know about that until the testimony last month. So us as Buzz Oats, I think we have as good of a reputation in the market in that we do what we say we're going to do. And if the city and Mr. Nodell need to work out what those true cost-sharing agreements need to be, so be it. We will come to the table and have that discussion, right? You have our word that we will do that. I think to somehow pin that on this item, I don't think is appropriate. And I'd also note that our project wasn't dependent upon those sewer improvements to develop. There are regional upgrades that certainly we benefit from a portion of. Also with the Devlin Road dedication from the Giovannoni family and the foundation, there were certain portions of that sewer line that we would not be subject to in the future. So these are things for the city, Mr. Nodell, to work out. I know city attorney has been working with them on that, and when the appropriate time is appropriate, we will have a seat at that table. We haven't seen any invoices. We haven't seen anything associated with those final costs. So we will commit to having that conversation when the time is right, and we hope that you will extend our tentative map tonight based on some extenuating circumstances that are outside of our control related to the lawsuits. But again, we're on a long-term ground lease with the ground owner. Like I said 2 years ago, and I'll continue to say tonight, we've made a 100-year commitment to the city of American Canyon through this project, through our ground lease. And ultimately, the ground lease payments go to support early childhood education that Mr. Albert Giovannoni set up as part of the ownership structure of that land. And we want to support that. We want to provide that benefit, and we want to build our buildings. And we hope to be able to do that this year is our goal. Any questions? Happy to answer. But we ask you to extend the tentative map tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, and thank you for your partnership as well. Is there any other public comment?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, council members. Jim Moose, legal counsel to Mr. Leviach. Just wanted to follow up on his remarks by digging into the weeds a little bit on what is exactly before you under the operative city code provisions. There's a tentative parcel map and a design permit, and we're seeking the extension of both. Your staff report explains that under your municipal code, if the map is extended, the design permit will go along with it. I haven't seen any correspondence from Mr. Nodell. I think there was some mentioned. I have seen a letter from his attorney. I watched the testimony from the last meeting, and the gist of his remarks at that time seemed to be that in extending this map and this design permit, he wanted you to revisit the condition of approval on the original design permit regarding the amount of sewer fees that the project had to pay, something like $822,000. As I read your subdivision ordinance, the question of whether to, and this is under the State Map Act as well, the question of whether to extend the map is essentially a yes or no question. It's not an opportunity to revisit conditions of approval and to come up with new conditions. And similarly, the ordinance dealing with the extension of the design permit allows it to be denied if there are changes in the project or changes in circumstances which make it impossible for the council to make the kind of findings you made at the time of the original design permit, such things as consistency with the general plan, other city standards. We don't think those circumstances exist here. So the question before you is really pretty narrow. 3 of you voted for the project 2 years ago. The project would be underway but for the litigiousness of the city of Vallejo, and that's why we need to ask for this extension. So we're hopeful that you'll want to keep it going. And this whole dispute about what, if anything more, Buzz Oats should be paying in sewer connection fees can be dealt with after you approve the extension. And as Mr. Leviatch has said, if it could be proven to him that he is not yet paying his true fair share, he is willing to pay his true fair share. But he hasn't been shown any kind of definitive cost information or engineering information to prove to him that the mere $822,000 or whatever he's required to pay already is insufficient. So hopefully we can deal with all these other issues down the road. But tonight we just respectfully ask for a vote to continue or extend the tentative map and the design permit. And so the resolution as drafted would do both those things. And we'd ask you to approve the resolution.
Thank you for your statement, Mr. Moose. We have one question, Councilmember Orr.
After public comments close.
Oh, okay. Any other public comment? Okay. Seeing none, I'd like to close public comment on item number 19 and return to council for additional questions, statements. Councilmember Orr.
There's a question for our city attorney. If we were to deny the extension tonight, what actually happens?
In this situation, the authorization for the project would terminate.
And so they would have to reapply and do the whole thing all over again, or how would that, what's?
That would be something within the sound discretion of the developer, but yes.
Okay. And one would assume that open pending lawsuits would probably be moot then too.
I would agree with that, but I think that was a decision that would be made by the courts.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor Joseph.
Yes, I appreciate all of this discussion. And from my perspective, if we don't extend the map or the tentative parcel map, all the other parties would get even less to come from. So, I mean, it's kind of like, regardless of whether there's a dispute over what the dollar amount is, if we don't extend the contract, you don't have a project and you're even less likely to contribute. So I do appreciate the remarks that everybody is prepared to sit down and work through all of this. And that is comforting to me. So then we focus on the issue before us, which is, should we extend the map, yes or no? As pointed out, but for litigation, I do think you'd be under construction. So I don't think we should say no. So I am certainly supportive of extending the parcel map for another year, and hopefully we will get things resolved both in terms of your project as well as whatever misunderstandings there are between the two sets of conditions. So
I would assume that was your motion.
If no one else wants to add anything else, I am more than happy to see if I can find it on the computer again. And that is, I will make a motion to approve resolution number 2025 next in order, a resolution of the City Council of the City of American Canyon, California, approving a 12-month extension to the Jevanoni tentative parcel map and design permit from March 21, 2025 to March 21, 2026. APNs 579008, 57-130-34, and 57-130-36. File number PL 24-0031.
I second.
We have a second. Can we have a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamatina?
Yes.
Councilmember Oro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph?
Yes.
Mayor Washington?
Yes. Thank you, Council. Next on public comment is item number 20, American Canyon Municipal Code, Chapter 12.04.051, the skate park use.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Alexandra Ikeda, Parks and Recreation Director. I'm here this evening to bring forth an update to our skate park municipal code. With the relocation of the skate park from its temporary site behind the Philip West Aquatic Center to its permanent location at Veterans Park this past April 2024, the update to the municipal code is necessary to reflect these changes. The existing municipal code 12.04.051, which governs the former skate park, no longer aligns with the new facility location, operations, or modern risk management standards. City staff, in collaboration with the risk management team, have developed a revised municipal code titled Skate Park Use to establish clear, comprehensive regulations that ensure safety and proper usage. The Parks and Community Services Commission reviewed this update on November 14, 2024, and is recommending the City Council to adopt. This ordinance will repeal and replace the outdated regulations, ensuring that the new skate park operates under the current best practices while providing a safe and accessible space for our community. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, Ally. I've put on my notes here that we're trying to waive also, in addition, the first
Yeah,
reading.
so you would waive first reading, read by title only, and introduce an ordinance of the City of American Canyon to the repeal and replace Chapter 12.04.051 skate park use of the municipal code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any clarifying questions from council or concerns? Councilmember Oral.
Yeah, thank you. Listen, so totally fine with this. This absolutely makes sense. It's perfunctory and probably shouldn't have too much of a discussion about it. But I do have a comment around the graffiti on the skate park and the look of the skate park right now. And quite honestly, I've driven by it for 2-3 months hoping I would drive by and the graffiti would be gone, and it's not. I would like to take this opportunity to talk about the skate park and why it looks like it does today. And I'd like to hear from staff on that.
Yeah, appreciate the question, Councilmember Oro. Something we talked a little bit about earlier this week, and something we're going to look into. The graffiti as its own sort of issue, the landscaping and whatnot, something we'll take a look at. So I haven't had a chance yet to get with staff. Our Public Works Department handles the maintenance and graffiti removal citywide. So we'll get together with them and see what can be done. I haven't been out there myself, to be truthful. I haven't been out there since we spoke about it. So something we'll go and take a check out and see what can be done.
Yeah, I would create an urgency about it because it is a new, it was supposed to be a bright, new, shiny object, and it was for a little bit. And it's gotten pretty bad. And I don't drive by that often, but when I do drive by, it's always there. And I think somebody mentioned earlier about murals. If I recall, we were supposed to put anti-graffiti on that skate park, like some sort of paint, and obviously it's not working, but just flagging it for your attention because now we had a resident flag it to us today, and I was hoping to get to that before it came to here, but now I had to bring it up, and I brought it up privately in my one-on-one with Jason earlier this week. And so just hope you all can prioritize that. Totally fine with the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Oro. I'd like to open at this time for open public comment for anyone on item number 20. Seeing none in the audience, do we have anybody online?
No.
Okay, no public comment. I'd like to close public comment for item number 20 and return to the council for any additional statements, questions, or a motion.
If there's no further comment or discussion, I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance. Are we waiving the first reading? Then we'll waive the first reading and read by title only, and introduce an ordinance of the City of American Canyon, repeal and replace Chapter 1204-051 skate park use to the AmCan Municipal Code.
I'll second that, and second Councilmember Oro's comments. We do need to clean up the park.
Okay, I agree. We have a second. Can we get a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamatina?
Yes.
Councilmember Oro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph?
Yes.
Mayor Washington?
Yes. Moving on to business, item number 21, Wetland Edge Enhancement Project, PR 19-0100. Mr. Holly?
Thank you, Mayor. Director Smithies is going to come up here and give you a report. I think we have a special guest.
Oh, goodness.
And maybe a presentation.
Trying to remember how to do this. It's been a few months. Yes, please. Is that it? That's it, right? Okay, great. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, members of the community. This is Eric Almond-Smithies, Public Works Director, and I have Rachel Brinkerhoff with Studio 1515 to help with tonight's presentation. As you're aware, this item was brought to you at the last meeting earlier this month to award the Wetlands Edge Enhancement Project. We didn't have enough information for you, so tonight we're presenting you a more broader picture, fuller picture. I'm having Ms. Brinkerhoff bring up and discuss the planting plan, the landscape, the renderings, and how we got here today, and then I'll come back to the next slides to discuss the budget and where we need to go next. All right, with that.
All right, so this is the current landscape right now, I guess you could say. Not really. Existing conditions, yes. So right now it's just non-native grasses. And there are some native trees. They're all mostly oaks. And then there's, by the parking lot, there's like some coyote bush. And then a while back, I believe, Allie, you were involved with planting out some plants. So, oh no, it doesn't show up. There it is. So in this area, there's some new plants that were planted, and I'll show that on the next, is it the next slide? So this is the conceptual plan for the park. And so just the plain circles, they are colored, but those are the plants. I went out there and took an inventory of what was still out there and surviving. And so that's those plants. And then the more realistic plants are what we are proposing. And so I chose plants that were all California natives. That was the main point. But then I also wanted to extend that idea to something that was more educational. So I wanted to include plants that were culturally important to indigenous tribes in the area, plants that were specific to American Canyon, plants that were native and edible, and then also important for the native pollinators. So not just like honeybees, but the actual native pollinators in the area. And so we have a variety of trees, shrubs. I also included plants that Erica had given me to incorporate into the design. And then we also have the outdoor classroom space. It's a covered shade structure. So here's the plant legend. All of the plants, well, most of the plants are either low or very low. There's a few moderate plants in there. And then This is a view taken from the parking lot where the accessible stalls are, looking towards the homes, and you can see the homes will be screened. You can see the shade structure in the back here, and then these are existing here, but these are what the plants are pretty much going to look like when they go when they get mature. And then this is looking from the parking lot out towards the wetlands. And then do you want to, oh, I have another slide, okay. Oh, the restroom, yeah, so, and there was also going to be a restroom building out there. And this will actually help not only with the outdoor classroom, but there's a fitness area at this park, so people can use that.
On to the next slide is down to the monetary position of the project. This is the three bidders are the yellow portion down below, and then the top part, Part A and Part B, is the engineer's estimate. We broke it out as requested by council to show the landscape structure cost, which also aligns with the wetland edge enhancement, the state education outdoor grant we received of $254,000, and then the restroom improvements were split out because that's all city funds, local funds, and non-eligible for reimbursement by the state. So the estimate went out for $553,000, and the low bidder came out at $679,000. I just want to kind of give back. When I was sick at the last meeting, so I was listening online, and when I came back to work the following week, I was listening. I went back and researched the project. I just kind of put it for perspective. In 2018, there was an internal memo about the project cost, total project cost, with the outdoor gym and some additional trails, and the cost was at $1 million, and that did not include a bathroom structure at the time. And that just kind of got perspective. The planting at that time wasn't as robust as what we're seeing here tonight. It was a lot less. So I thought that was kind of a good analogy to go back and see how did we get here today, because I know council's like, why is it such a bigger cost? But even though 7 or 8 years ago, internally, it was the thought process, the plantings alone would be a $600,000 project, and the structures would be less. And it's not quite the case. We broke it down even further, where you can see the planting irrigation itself is in the $140,000 range. The bathroom is $250,000, and the shade structure is $177,000, and the trails and amenities were $104,000. What was not discussed earlier in the slideshow, I'll bring it back. When we were out here, I think with Ally, Director Ikeda, and then the Maintenance and Utilities Director, Felix Hernandez, that see the trails, the existing trails down the southwestern end. Only one person was utilizing those picnic tables. And the only table that was being used was the one with the light shaded greening up here on the trail, because it's the only one that currently has shade on it. The others do not have any shade. And it was 104 degrees out there, and there was lots of walkers still using the wetlands, going out, but only one person using those great picnic tables. So I know there was concern about future shade structures possibly out there that wouldn't deter from view, but that was the intent of having the irrigation brought out to the longer area, which also attributed to the higher costs that we saw here tonight or in the bids. But there was another question that came up during the last discussion that was also about the density of the plantings, and will it cause tripping hazards in the future with the root structures. That was one thing I think I should have had some more notes on my PowerPoint as far as for Rachel to talk to that, but I'll let her speak to that now.
Right, so because all the plants are native, they are very deep rooted because they have to search for water during our dry season. So they're not gonna have those surface roots that create tripping hazards like you see with some street trees and other ornamental trees. We also keep them relatively far away from the path, so they're not gonna have any large roots, at the trunk that are next to a trail. So it's definitely not going to be a concern out there.
And then I think that brings us, here's the construction cost, just breaking out by phases, the bid, the staff time, design task order. The big chunk is the actual construction cost, and then the next biggest one is the construction contingency of $135,000. The goal is that maybe we don't have to use any of that, and we'll have some cost savings on the project. And then there was a question on the yearly maintenance cost, and this is an estimate based on what we see now as far as our other parks. And with that, we're open to questions that you may have tonight on the project.
Okay, well, thank you for your presentation, Erica and Rachel. Actually, it's a big difference in the last time we saw the diagram here, so I appreciate the efforts that you put forth on this. And I'll open up to my colleagues, Vice Mayor Joseph.
Yeah, so thank you for the report, and you're right. This, I feel like I know what I'm getting and why and what it's going to cost and so on. So I appreciate the report. If we, not that one, that one. So a couple of concerns. One of the things that I'm the one who raised the idea, could we have a covered picnic shelter out there? Because I appreciate the fact that one or two picnic tables spread out doesn't lend itself to a party, for example, but a shaded picnic shelter might. I appreciate the concerns that it may block the view, but I do think that's an amenity that will ultimately prove to be valuable, because I think there's a dynamic when you have 6 or 8 picnic tables where you can handle a party of 40 or 50 versus a party of 7 or 8. So I do think there's merit to that. Location-wise, who's to say? The other comment on that extended trail is there is the unofficial trail, the quarry trail from years past, is kind of the walking path. And so I don't necessarily want you to invest in extending the trail, but at least recognize that the unofficial walking trail is there, and we don't want to create a nice trail that essentially ignores the obvious. So I'm just wondering, if there's some thought about that extension. I recognize it's done to kind of create shade where the picnic tables are, and that makes sense. But can we ultimately extend that back into the existing trail at some point in the future?
What are you referring to as the quarry trail?
To your left, as you head towards, I guess it would be west, there's that little white,
like a beaten path.
Yeah, we're not modifying the trails at all. We're just adding
Right.
irrigation to the existing trails down the lower end.
Oh, okay.
The
So
only new trails are the brown section up by the shade structure, and then another
okay.
extension. Everything else stays the same. We're just
Okay.
adding trees to the existing.
All right, now I understand. Oh, so the white trails aren't being built, they're what you think are there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And
Now
they
I
say
get,
that in
okay.
a very small print. Existing
Okay.
site furnishings, existing trails to
Okay,
remain.
all right. Well, then that addresses my concern, because, they don't, in reality, they don't look nearly as pronounced as they do on the map,
We
but that's
try
cool.
to do that just because
No,
what's
no.
being touched is the new trees.
Right, I get it now. Okay, so that's one issue that isn't a concern anymore. The second one is right where the tip of the plant legend is, that little corner right there. At one point in time, there was serious discussion about a public art piece right off of, right there at the tip of it. Yeah, basically the upper right tip of that legend box is about where there was some discussion about putting an art piece there. I don't know if that's still in discussion modes, Councilmember.
Yeah, I think that's with the Parks Foundation. Last I heard, it got a little unruly in terms of the budget, and so they put that on hold, back burner kind of thing. But I do believe, I don't know if we officially approved a spot for it as the art committee, which happens to be me and Vice Mayor Joseph, because we were just looking at the potential of a piece of art going there. But nonetheless, it's not going to stop this project from going forward, and we would have to revisit when that happens anyway. So.
And now that I understand the white trails or the existing trails, then there's nothing being proposed that would get in the way of that. So that's not really an issue either. I'm raising issues and saying, don't worry about it, so I should stop. But the last pitch is, one of my thoughts were at some point we could create like a native plant nursery. I know we have native plantings, but it would be really nice, and it may not be this location, but somewhere the city should have its own little native plant nursery that we can ultimately swap out all the plantings in landscaped areas with our own homegrown native plants.
Funny you should mention that.
Okay.
At the new courtyard, there's discussion about putting our own nursery in near the new office building, modular, that
Okay.
allows for us to start growing some of our own plants in-house, or at least a place to have the ones we
Yeah.
have to purchase.
Exactly. That, either, if we're really ambitious to swap out existing, but more likely when somebody dies, you just replace it with a native plant. And if we could do that, and then there are other places that the city owns, you could have a couple of little nurseries. So, okay. Then if you've got that into your thing, then everything I've brought up has been addressed. I really appreciate your proactive approach to my concerns. There. Thank you.
Mayor, I've decided to take a demotion and become the city's gardener. We'll go to the nursery operator. We'll just take care of the native plants.
I can't even take care of my own garden, so I don't think you want me taking on anybody else's.
Any other clarifying questions from council? No? At this time, I'd like to open up the public comment for item 21. Any public comment?
Good evening, Beth Marcus. I just want to say this is a much better presentation than last time. Last time over there we had little circles, and I remember David saying, Councilmember Oro saying, why do we have all these little circles? What does that mean?
I told you guys you would love the pictures, I'm telling you, so.
Especially when you're paying that much money. Any other public comment? Hearing none, I'd like to close public comment and return item 21 to council for any additional statement, questions, or motion.
If there's no other public or discussion, you guys wanted to say something? No, okay. Before I make this resolution, I would like to thank staff for putting this together, and it helps us make our decision better. I think it looks like a really great project now. Looking forward to seeing it get started and mature in probably 10 years, really, when it's really going to shine. So with that, I will make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025 next in order. Adopt a resolution, one, amending the FY 24-25 capital budget and increasing the budget from $450,000 to $950,000. Two, awarding a construction contract to Marina Landscape, Inc. in the amount of $679,065.95. And three, authorizing the Public Works Director to execute contract change orders in aggregate amount not to exceed the project budget in conjunction with the Wetlands Edge Enhancement Project PR 19-0100.
I second.
We have a second. Can I get a roll call, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamatina?
Yes.
Councilmember Oro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph?
Yes.
Mayor Washington?
Yes, and thank you, Erica and Rachel. Next is business item number 22, Community Service Award Selection Policy. Mr. Holly.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a council requested item that was continued from your February 4th meeting. At that time, the council was considering an update to the Community Service Award Selection Policy. There was some additional discussion and some additional work that was needed. And so the subcommittee got back together, at least virtually. Vice Mayor Joseph and Councilmember Oro did some additional work on the proposed changes and have prepared for you what shows up starting on page 192 as Exhibit A. The prior policy and the red line of that prior policy shows up on page 198. There were some changes that were proposed and then some additional work that was done here. I think I'll actually kind of turn it over to Vice Mayor Joseph and Councilmember Oro if they had any other comments or any other thoughts or explanation as to where the subcommittee kind of landed with this. I'm certainly happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, Mr. Holly. Any questions?
Yeah, I'll just summarize quickly. It's very similar to the last version with a couple of notables. One, on the notification and outreach, we got rid of the high school principal being in charge of the youth of American Canyon and changed the language to just make reference to youth-oriented groups such as scouting, youth sports such as Little League, are also encouraged to identify Youth of the Year nominees along with their own adult nominees. So I think that addressed the intent much better than what we started off with. The second point is I think Councilmember Oro did a lot of wordsmithing just to make the flow of the document better, and I appreciated that in that respect. So those were the only significant changes that's before you tonight, at least.
Anything to add, Mr. Oral?
Yeah, no, Vice Mayor Joseph did the heavy lifting, and then I did the heavy lifting of editing it. Well, there is one typo. So, Section 4-2.0, second sentence, participants should be charged a reasonable fee. The word fee is missing. So when we vote on this, let's make that amendment.
Okay.
And other than that, I'm glad we're getting this done, and hopefully this will provide clarity for the Community Service Award selection policies in the near future.
I agree.
The only other thing I want to add, Mayor, I appreciate the editing, everything. We'll certainly look at that change. We will probably take this document and put it into the format with the fonts and the style that actually shows up starting on page 196 so that it matches our style guide. So the final version that'll be in posterity won't quite have the format of this one. We're not going to change any content, but we're going to make it match the other policy formats.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Holly. I'd like to open it up to public comment at this time, if there's any comments. Good. Any comments online? Okay, I'll close public comment, and I'd like to return to council for any additional comments.
Mayor,
or
I
motion.
hate to interrupt, but I had one other, I guess I'll call it a clarifying question. I'm seeing a resolution in our future, and there was discussion last time, given the timing of where we are, and related to this year's awards, about an effective date, I think sort of after the awards ceremony of 2025. And so I just wanted to make sure if that's, whoever's going to end up making a resolution, if that's still part of it. We have closed the application process for this year. We haven't yet started sending out the forms and everything to the voters, but if we're going to make a change in criteria that's effective for a couple of weeks from now, we're going to have to change how we're sending that message out. So just to kind of keep that in mind.
How does that impact what we've already done?
We told the community we were under the current policy.
Okay.
And so if we decide to change it and make this new policy effective, tomorrow, then we're going to have some explaining to do into the community. We're going to have to send that message out, and so our recommendation would be have it be effective after, call it the end of April. That way we can get through this current cycle under the existing policy and then prospectively be under the new policy.
Okay, with that said, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025 with the edits as stated earlier. A resolution of the City Council of the City of American Canyon to repeal and replace Resolution 2020-26 with an updated Community Service Awards selection policy to be implemented May 1st, 2025.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a second. Can I get a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Just add the effective date. Councilmember Cruz.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamatina.
Yes.
Councilmember Oro.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph.
Yes.
Mayor Washington.
Yes. Our next and final business item is number 23, Parks and Recreation Refund Policy. Ally.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Alexandra Ikeda, Parks and Recreation Director. I'm here this evening to talk to you about the proposed policy update to our Resolution 2009-113 and Resolution 2008-153. So the proposed policy update establishes clear, transparent, and customer-focused refund process for our parks and recreation programs, services, and classes and facility rentals. By replacing these policies, and the updated policies, this will help us better align with more modern customer service expectations and best practices. It empowers staff to make thoughtful, compassionate, and case-by-case decisions, ensuring we continue to provide a high level of customer service and support that the community values and deserves. This update streamlines our refund process and aligns our policies with the current operational practices. Resolution 2008-153, our facility rental policies, fees, and fee waiver, has been largely replaced by our customer service-oriented facility rules and regulations. Additionally, facility rental fees have already been updated through Resolution 2024-91, which is our Parks and Recreation user fee schedule, which was adopted by this body on December 18, 2024. While the fee waiver has mainly been replaced by established agreements with our nonprofit organizations and youth sports groups, we want to make sure that we have transparency and alignment with our city priorities and policies. So we're recommending that future fee waivers will be brought to this body for review and approval rather than being handled administratively by our Parks and Recreation Department. We noticed that we needed to make these changes because if you look at the current refund policy, it's very restrictive. It's not very human or customer-oriented approach. And what I mean by that is we've had a couple situations over the past couple years where if somebody came in and asked for a refund, our answer would ultimately be no. And there's been some really interesting situations that we've been in, and not to get too graphic, but for instance, I'll give you an example. We had an individual who had a baby shower scheduled, and she had her rental booked. It was secured. She had paid everything in full, and unfortunately, she had a miscarriage. And based off of our refund policy, with that circumstance, we would not have been able to refund her. And we felt that wasn't fair. We felt that was not compassionate with the situation. And we decided to operate outside of our policy and give her pretty much a full refund. Because of that, I am happy to say that she was able to get pregnant again, and when she decided to have a baby shower, she came back to us, and she did have her baby shower with us. And she was very grateful for our approach. We had another situation, again, with a facility rental. And again, we deal with a lot of refund requests, transfer requests, and this is an ongoing business that we do with our staff, with all the programs and services that we offer. And we always try to take a more compassionate and human approach of how would we want to be handled or dealt with at the front counter. Because again, we want everybody to feel welcome. We want everybody to, the moment that they walk into City Hall and they are greeted by our Parks and Recreation staff person, in some cases, that's their very first interaction with anybody at City Hall. And so we want it to be a welcoming and friendly experience. And when you're asking for a refund, and I'm sure you experience this in your personal life, it could be very challenging when you're trying to get a refund or a transfer. And the current policy just didn't allow for that flexibility. So we recognized that we were operating outside of these policies, and although this update was not originally included in our Parks and Community Services work plan for fiscal year 24-25, we decided to bring it to the commission and run this change by them. And they supported this change, and they're actually recommending for the change to happen. So that was actually brought to our PCS Commission October 1st, 2024. So tonight, we are requesting that the council approve an update by repealing and replacing Resolution 2008-153 and Resolution 2009-13. This update enhances clarity, transparency, and ensures a more customer-friendly experience that aligns with our community's needs and expectations. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your update, Ms. Akita, and kudos to you and you Mr. Holly, for showing some compassion for the mother who experienced that unfortunate miscarriage. So thank you. I'd like to open it up to council for any clarifying questions or concerns. Vice Mayor Joseph.
Yes, generally I am supportive of the policy. It took me a couple of times reading it, but that I think was because I was tired. On the facility rental, this is more of a philosophical comment. I understand if you rent a facility, you're basically taking it off the market. And so there's a price to be paid because somebody else could have come along and rented it. And so that's kind of the rationale. There's in effect, a penalty for tying it up and then not using it. On the other hand, so on the last page, when it talks about from the date of booking to a month out, you lose your deposit and half of the rental fee. 30 days or less, you lose everything. So I don't have a problem with the 30 days, but I'm wondering if we could have an additional condition that says maybe 3 months out to 1 month or something, that if you rented it 8 months out and then 2 months later you cancel, the odds of the city being able to reuse it is a lot higher than 30 days out. So I'm just, not to make it too complicated, but any thought to a third tier in which there's a certain point in time you may lose your deposit, but you'll get the full refund, and then where you're at now, and then even further. So I don't even know how you would articulate that. I'm just throwing it out as a concept, and maybe somewhere down the road, it might come back for a review. But that's about the only suggestion I had in terms of what to do with trying to be fair and equitable. But otherwise, very good.
Councilmember Oral?
Yeah. I too had a little bit of trouble understanding it, and I'm not sure it's exactly clear. And I was awake when I was reading it. And so like in the staff report, it could have been, we could have used an example of that, I think, and I think it's in the contract in the end. And so the cost of a refund now, and let's just take facility, it's mostly facilities that we're talking about here, right? Or what else is it?
Well, it's any program or service or facility rental that there's a fee exchanged. So if we're talking about facility rentals, that's a different process than like a program fee. And in some cases, our facility rentals are a little bit more, they're a little bit more costly versus than like a swim lesson.
And so it's 30 days in advance. There is a half deposit. Can you just kind of
Yeah,
like
so
speak
let me
to
explain
it?
that to you. So typically when somebody comes in, we rent our facilities for American Canyon residents up to 18 months in advance. Non-residents are 12 months. And in some cases, people do that. And we wanted to create a situation where you'll see this a lot of the private sector, like with the weddings and things like that, where people will come down and hold dates, and they'll hold multiple dates, and they'll take facilities offline. And we're starting to get more popular. We're starting to see more traction with our picnic rentals and our facility rentals. And so what we really wanted to avoid that. We wanted to avoid people just being able to come down, hold a date for 30 days, and then be able to get whatever back. Because there is an administrative burden with what we do. So if somebody typically comes down, they'll fill out the application, they'll normally pay the refundable deposit, and they won't, typically they have a full up until 30 days when all other fees are due. And it is a pattern where they won't pay the remaining balance until 30 days out. So in some cases, if they do cancel, they're just forfeiting their refundable deposit. And we're trying to avoid this sense of being able to hold a date and then not be held accountable if they hold it for a certain period of time, because like I mentioned, our facilities are picking up. They are becoming more popular. We are limited with our facility space. When you think about it, we have our adult activity center, which can hold up to 100 people, which is prime real estate here. And then the next best thing is our Napa Junction Community Center. The rec center only holds about 40 people, so we don't have a lot of inventory to allow people to hold dates and not have there be a penalty if they don't move forward, because there's other people that are willing to book that.
So let's say I get the Napa Junction gym over here, and I want it for October 1st. Let's call that date. And
Yeah.
it's a $500 deposit, and I made it today. I have 30 days before I start to lose that
You
deposit?
have 7 days. So 7 days from the moment you book it, if you come in and you're like, you know what, that's not going to work, then we'll refund you. If you wait beyond the 7 days, then you'll lose that deposit if you decide to cancel.
Okay, all right, so 7 days for the deposit, and then up to 30 days beforehand for the rest of
So from the date of booking, from 31 days prior, the refundable deposit will be forfeited and 50% of all rental fees paid. So anything outside of that, so anything that's paid beyond the deposit up to 31 days prior to your facility rental date will be forfeited. And in most cases, people aren't paying their full rental until 30 days prior, because that's when we require the final payment to be made. We'll physically reach out to the applicant and say, your payment is due today.
If not, you give it up.
If not, your rental's forfeited. Because we have had instances, and the last thing we want to do is chase money. We don't want to be in a situation, and we were, before I started with the city, when we were doing facility rentals, we were chasing people and asking them to pay their money. And in some cases, it was up to the day before the rental. And that can be a very stressful situation when you're trying to find somebody and then they show up and they haven't paid their bill, and then they're having a great event and they owe the city money, and it's really hard to get that money back once the event happens.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Oro. At this time, I'd like to open up the public comment if there's any.
I have no comments online.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd like to close public comment for item number 21 and return to council for any additional statements, questions, or a motion. No questions? Motions?
You go ahead.
All right, if there are no other questions, then I'd like to adopt a resolution or make a motion to adopt a resolution number 2025, a resolution of the City Council of the City of American Canyon to repeal and replace Resolution 2009-113 and Resolution 2008-153 with the updated Parks and Recreation refund policy.
I'll second that.
Thank you. We have a second. Can I get a roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamatina?
Yes.
Councilmember Oro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph?
Yes.
Mayor Washington?
Yes. Moving right along with the management and staff oral reports. Mr. Holly.
Thank you, Mayor. Norm, Brent, and Ali have updates for you in whatever order you guys want. Rochambeau is in order, I suppose.
I beat them.
That works too.
I'm here to tell you about all the wonderful things that are happening here in American Canyon. So tomorrow evening, which is March 5th, we have our OSATS meeting here in this room at 6:30 p.m. On March 6th, the American Canyon Chamber of Commerce Local Legends Luncheons will be held at the Boys and Girls Club from 11:30 to 1:30. On March 8th, the American Canyon Library will be hosting a craft nooner at 12 o'clock. On March 11th, the American Canyon Fire Finance Subcommittee is meeting at 10 a.m. On March 13th, the Parks and Community Services Commission will be holding a meeting at 6:30 p.m. here in this room. And then I just found out this evening that on March 14th, the Napa Valley Vine Trail and the Bay Trail Vallejo section will be holding a grand opening at 11 a.m. at the Vallejo Ferry Terminal. And then lastly, on March 15th, the American Canyon Community Parks Foundation is holding a mustard flower hike at Newell Open Space from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Akita.
All right, well, good evening, Council. Brent Cooper, Community Development Director. Just wanted to let you know that been very impressed with the new Planning Commission we have for this year. The selections are wonderful people, and we start off with very full agendas. And at the next meeting, we'll be bringing to them the updated general plan. So there's no rest at all or break-in for this group, but they're very attentive and doing a great job. What I really wanted to tell you, though, is the California League of Cities has a Planning Commissioners Academy this week, and new appointed Shelby Goss will be attending tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, as well as yours truly. So education's a wonderful thing, and we're really pleased to see the commission get off to a great start.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Good evening. I wanted to inform the council and the community that we're going to be doing our annual hydrant flushing here in the city of American Canyon. We'll be starting that on March 18th, and it'll be lasting 8 weeks. So it'll be ending on May 7th. You can get information on it on our various websites and social media. A campaign will be starting for that next week on March 10th, so then everyone will be able to get any information they need. Those social media websites will be our city Facebook, Jason Hawley's pages, and Nextdoor. And it's going to be in 6 different zones. So if anyone had any questions, they'll be able to reach any of those social media platforms. And the purpose behind this is, you know, it's very important to flush our hydrants and to get all that sediment out of our distribution system. There'll be some discoloration of the water, but if there's any kind of issues, once again, residents can reach out to the city and we'll be able to answer those questions.
Councilmember Joseph, or Vice Mayor Joseph.
I was going to ask, and why do we want to know that there's hydro flushing? But you pointed out because it's liable to have discoloration when we're flushing in your neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Very good.
And there's a
Remember
solution to that. So, and that will be on the city's website that you can reach out to. So, yeah.
I remember the years back where the city finance would have boxes of Wright's color washing or whatever that we would give out because people would complain and so forth. So, fond memories.
So as I said, next week, the campaign for what to do about it, and that it's coming the following week, will be launching on March 10th.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. We will move on to our mayor, council comments and committee reports, and we'll start with you, Vice Mayor Mark Joseph.
I finally got my written report in, so it covers the highlights. I would bring to your attention the NVTA project update attachment that I included. And I also have to brag about the mosaic that is on the Napa Junction wall. It looks beautiful. If you look closely, you'll see the flaws, but you know, if you're on the road, it looks beautiful. And I can assure you it's 5 years of headache off of me. And so I love it as much as, because it's an issue I don't have to worry about anymore, as well as how beautiful it looks. And then lastly, I need to do a shout out to everybody who worked on the crab feed. We don't know exactly how much we made, but we did make money, and that's important. And I hope everybody had a great time, and I'm glad it's over too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a great event. City Council Member David Orrell.
I wrote up my report, but too bad. Was there an official ceremony for the mosaic?
No, we did discuss it. We do want to have some kind of a, you've seen it, but now we're celebrating it. Probably in another month or two. The Art Foundation is also doing some cleanup in rooms 5 and 6. So we basically want to have an open house and brag about the mosaic. So there is no ceremony yet. We did not, you know.
I'm pretty sure I had 500 tiles on that mosaic, so I want to go see it myself. So.
We carefully microchipped each of the ones you put on. So
Yeah.
that you'll be able to
I have nothing to report, Mayor. My report was extensive this week, and I just wrote it all down. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. City Council Member Lamartina.
Thank you. Let's see here. On February the 5th, I had the honor of attending the Boys and Girls Clubs of Napa Valley Youth of the Year. And one of our very own won. And I would like to put on the agenda if we could have those folks here to celebrate them. I think that would be great. Really amazing kids. I know I wasn't that smart at that age. I don't even know now if I'm that smart. But yeah, it was a really great event. And wow, the youth. There's hope. Yes.
There is.
And then also, I don't know if you want to speak on this too, Mayor, that on February the 24th, the Commission on Aging came here and picked the brains of our older folks and their needs in American Canyon and how we can assist them looking towards the future.
Yeah, it was a full house. I
Yeah.
was impressed with the ones that came out, so, yeah.
Yeah.
I put it in my report.
I'm new. I'm learning.
Thank
That's
you,
all I
ma'am.
have.
Thank you, madam. Yeah.
I'm new.
City Council Member Cruz.
Mr. Mayor, nothing to report per se, but I did attend the crab feed that Mark Joseph and the Kiwanis Club did hold. It was a very nice, productive event. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the crab suit and all the good food. I did attend the American Canyon High School Band Percussions event that happened on Saturday. It was well attended. There was a lot of guests from all over the Bay. So they appreciated me doing traffic control. I went back to my old police traffic control ways and assisted in that endeavor. So that's all I have.
Thank you, thank you. Nothing to add to mine, and we will move on to the future agenda items, if any. Councilmember Cruz.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. So after hearing the comments from Mr. Gilbreth and some of the, from the public, it sounds like the Green Island property is an area that we talked about well before my time, maybe just the last council. I was reading a letter here, back in December of 21, there was a request that a letter of support be made for Green Island, but at that time we took no stance. So after hearing Mr. Gilbreth and other public members, I think we should revisit that, and I think we should support Mr. Gilbreth and the Green Island project. So I would like to make a resolution that we talk about this Green Island project and consider making a letter of support for our next meeting.
So are you making a motion to?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm making a motion for that. So,
Yeah, I would like to see that come forward, so I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Okay, we have a second. Roll call, please.
If I may, it might be helpful, I think the actual agenda item might be something like the following: council consideration, or consideration of council support for a landowner application for amendment of the city's sphere of influence for, to include Green Island properties, something like that.
yes, so make a resolution to support a letter for landowner application for the inclusion in the City of American Canyon sphere of influence to happen by the March 18th meeting.
I'll second.
We have a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cruz?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamatina?
Yes.
Councilmember Oro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Joseph?
Yes, for
Mayor
discussion.
Washington?
What was that last?
For discussion.
And that's a yes by me as well.
Mayor, the only thing I wanted to just note on that, looking at the future agenda items on March 18th, we will not be having an update on the Sites Reservoir project. So you can strike that off the agenda, unfortunately, but we will be having an item related to Juneteenth and and some requests for funding for that particular event. And so this future agenda item would be added to that calendar, so we're looking at like 5 items. Tonight we got through before 9 o'clock, so just trying to make sure everyone's comfortable with adding a 5th business item to that particular calendar so we don't go too late. So we have a couple of annual reports, 3 annual reports already scheduled for that. So if the council was concerned about that meeting running long, let me know. We could change what things are on here. If you're comfortable having a potentially long meeting, that's fine too. Just wanted to make sure you all were aware we have at least now 5 business items for that night.
Okay, then I would take it to the council. Any objections to having a possible long council meeting?
I think we can accommodate one more agenda item.
Okay.
That's why we get paid the big bucks.
Affirmative.
Understood.
Got it. So basically, we've accomplished concluded all of our business for this evening, and I will adjourn our meeting for tonight. Good night, American Canyon.
Yeah, I thought we were going to go longer. You thought long